All right, so this is a special meeting. We're calling the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. And the reason that we're having the meeting is because there was a request for a field trip at the high school, which sounds like a very cool experience, kind of combining German and STEM, which, how cool is that, to take place at the University of Rhode Island. When something like that comes to the school committee table, it's important that everybody understand that the policies of the district govern everything that we do. And so if there are things that are not apparent or that are not presented, and the school committee can't really approve it if the policy hasn't been met. Now, I'm not placing any blame anywhere. I'm just saying that that is why the school committee had trouble approving this policy. So,
the trip.
I'm sorry, the trip. So, I want to, first of all, acknowledge the fact that every single school committee member is in this room. And this was a last minute, fire drill to try to get this pulled together because the trip is this week.
Yeah.
It's this week. So, from me, thank you to the school committee, every single member, for actually taking the time out of your personal lives to jump over here and make sure we have everything where it needs to be so that we can get this trip approved, assumingly, for the kids. I think the message to the community and to the staff is clearly the school committee cares, and clearly each one of us wants to see this happen. We want there to be opportunity. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that the trip, or any trip that comes to the school committee table, is governed by policy. And if you know anything about what's happened over the past 3 years, we've completely revamped our entire policies because they were so outdated. Enough of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to Superintendent Clenchey. School committee, I'm going to ask that we conduct our discussion and our comments from a school committee perspective and ask the questions you need to ask. But what kids are eating for dinner probably isn't one of them. So I hope that helps.
Okay. Great, thanks. So Nathan, thanks so much for coming tonight. We really, really appreciate that. And I think, this is not just a you thing, and I think the Principal Domenico shared that with you. I mean, we need to have the documents well ahead of time so that they can come before school committee for 1 or 2 meetings or whatnot, so that they have the opportunity to kind of reflect on them and ask any questions or whatnot. And I think the other thing is it's really nice that you're here, and I think that speaks volumes, so thank you very much for coming here this evening to talk about it too. And I agree with Chairman Ramoski, the fact that you've got everybody sitting here tonight is a real testament, and I think I'll also agree with Chairman Ramoski in that we all want to see a trip happen. We just need to make sure that all the ducks are in order. Assistant Superintendent McGuire and I had this discussion, today. It's really important for all of us, and I know you feel this as well, to make sure that everyone is safe, our kids and our staff. And so I think when we ask these questions, it's just to make sure that we understand and that our community understands as well that we've done our due diligence on all of this. So with that being said, I'd like you to just kind of tee it up a little bit and talk to us a little bit about it, what interested you about it, the value that you see it bringing for kids, and I think it's really important that you explain that and how it ties in just minimally to the curriculum. You don't need to go on and on with that though.
All right, so under a minute?
Yeah, well, under a couple minutes, maybe under 2 minutes.
Well, also, thank you all for meeting. I know Monday night's not your normal meeting time, and so that means a lot to me as a staff member here to come and have the whole school committee show up. So I really appreciate that. So thank you for your time. So this opportunity came to my attention at the end of August from professors at the University of Rhode Island. And they said we're trying to organize a New England-wide STEM German workshop day. And URI has one of the flagship STEM German business programs for New England, and so they're trying to do a little bit of high school outreach. They put out an invite to schools from Mass through Maine, New Hampshire. So high schools are coming together and colleges are coming together to do a career day on one day and a STEM day on the second day. And so they kind of partner the 2 days together in a package to kind of make a field trip day out of it. Part of it, I think, is also advertising for URI, so students can kind of see the campus and see the great things they're doing there, but it also provides an opportunity for us and our students to come and see what can you do with what you're learning here. And I think our program at Neshoba has been strong, and we have some students that have gone on to do science and engineering both in tangent with German, and so when this opportunity came across my desk, I was really excited to grab onto that and give that to our kids. So the idea is on Friday we'd head down. Well, originally they had asked me to come down on Thursday, night, and so I think it was my very first proposal, but I had to make the bus reservation last week for that, and we didn't have the green light from you guys, so we kind of bumped that over to this week. So heading down Friday morning before school, we'll do the all-day career development day, and they'll have different internships in different universities, and the German consul will present on what you can do with German moving forward, which I'm really excited about. Spend the night in a hotel down there, it's the Holiday Inn, and then the next day is the STEM day on campus, and that's where they have different high school teachers and college professors and students from URI that have organized different workshops for the kids to take part in during the day, and we'll come back around 3 o'clock that afternoon.
Nice.
You did well. You did really well.
All right. So is there anything else that you folks feel you want to add before I open it up for questions? Superintendent McQuarrie.
Thank you. I just want to note that.
Sorry. Funny. Assistant Superintendent McQuarrie. You know what? I just got off the train, so give me a break.
I just want to point out that the copy that was left on the top of your packets is the most updated copy of the field trip request form. There were a couple of changes between what was in your original packet that Alita put together for you between then and now when Nathan and I spoke this afternoon. So that's the copy you should be looking at that is most up to date with current chaperones, etc. So just that we're all looking at the same form.
Thank you. Anything else from you folks?
Other than the fact that we support this, we support it going forward. I think it's a great opportunity for kids. I appreciate all the filled in blanks, so thank you for doing that too. And I think that's part of it, Nathan, too. It's just that our eyes are on these a little bit tighter right now. We're trying to tighten up the process. Yeah. And yours happens to be one that we're.
You're the first one.
It's not the first time it's happened to me, so it's like, all right, here we go. Let's get into this.
Well, I mean, the good news is we all want this to happen. It's just the technicalities of it that we. For the reason Superintendent Clenchey mentioned, we really need to make sure the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
I'm on the same page there. So I was talking, so a couple years ago we had field trips, and the principal used to approve them, and then the vice principal became the person approving them. And I was in line for a field trip, and the paperwork was in the principal's box when the transition went to the vice principal, but it stayed in his box and didn't get to his box. And so mine didn't get transitioned. So it's not my first rodeo on the field trip carousel. So when this happens, like, all right, let's try and get this like a streamlined process, because I think it's exciting, and I know that my students get a lot out of field trips. I know other staff do too, and so I want to streamline this so we can kind of all move forward on this. I think we're all on the same team here, and so if there's a way to kind of say, all right, good, we did this, and then streamline it moving forward, and maybe we can answer some questions now so we don't have to revisit this next time we come up.
And I guess my question is less for you, and this is not a policy discussion, but I'm assuming that you folks are going to be putting into place some very structured guidance for folks, because
it's a process.
Yeah,
that
the
needs
process.
to work for my lines right here.
Okay.
No, you don't agree?
Well, no. I think the process is almost non-existent. I think the policy just needs, it starts there, and then
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And it's a little hard, I think, just if I could speak freely on this
Sure.
side, where do I start? The field trip form in the office is different from the field trip form online, which is different from the field trip form that I received from Lita the first time. And then the second one, and so it was like, oh man, it was a lot of work to get this thing. And I'm really, really thankful for you guys meeting with me today, but it was really frustrating.
So that's going to be cleaned up, and you know what? Sometimes that's how things get discovered, right?
Yeah, we polish it off.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's exactly how I see it too.
I'm just thankful everything is cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to open it up to the school committee to ask any questions that they may have. Do you feel that the information in the packet? You have questions?
Oh, yeah, I have questions.
Okay, let's.
Okay, number one, of the 10 students, are they all of the same gender, or are they of different gender?
They're different.
Why?
There's a reason for this. I'm sorry?
They're different genders.
Okay. The names of the chaperones. You've got one for Friday, one for Saturday, and you're there Friday and Saturday, which is overnight. Who else is overnight with you?
The second one who's there for Saturday comes Friday evening.
Okay,
She's not there Friday day.
that's fine. My only other question is, does the minibus, and maybe you can answer this more than I can, does the minibus require any special driver licensing?
No, we've already looked into that. Do you
Okay.
want to respond to that? No, we're good.
We looked into it today. I went into the business office and they, gave us we looked into, with the insurance coverage that we have in terms of liability, every employee in the school district is covered under the policy that we we have.
Fine. And that takes care of my question.
Thank you, Steve.
What's that?
As long as it's not yellow.
Kathy, you had a question?
As long as it's not yellow.
If it were yellow, it would be an issue.
Okay.
No,
That
I
would be a
think my
CDL.
question was answered. My question was answered.
Your question?
Steve,
Okay,
yes,
that's it.
Steve.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that is something that's been helpful, I think, for especially smaller groups like the German group. We've gone to the middle schools before. And in small groups, it's too expensive to get a big bus. The big bus to go down was to be $1,000. And that's too much for 10 kids for a trip.
Mhm.
And so the small bus really provides us the opportunity to bring smaller groups or smaller populations, which normally wouldn't be able to participate in this type of thing, the opportunity to do that. So I'm grateful that we have this vehicle that we can use.
My issue is the chaperones, he's got them, in the quarry.
Yep.
And that was brilliant, whoever did that, pulled that move.
Let's just say it was a team effort.
But I suspect your peers said, what? I'll step in and help you.
Actually, a little bit.
I want some chocolate on that.
Pretty cool. And Mrs. Davis is Spanish teacher. So.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So she chaperoned the German exchange with me a couple of years ago, and so we have a pretty good relationship. And so when this came up, she said, well, Nathan, you really need a hand, but I gotta go on the next exchange. I said, okay, you got it.
Well, we like that too.
Yeah, but not only that, she figures out how to do hers too.
Yeah, well, I think this will probably, have some legs. Any other questions, guys? Nice job. Anybody? Yeah.
I don't know if this is necessarily a question for you, but I don't see on the form if there's any acknowledgement that allergies have been looked into. Is that something that is on a different form?
It should be on the other form. If you look down a couple pages, there's one from the parent permission slip form. It's called the NRSU Required Student Health Form Overnight Trip. And it's a form that students have to fill out. And then before I can go, the nurses have to sign off on this. And when they signed off on that, we met and went over the students' allergies, EpiPens, and things like that.
Great question, though.
Yep.
All right, I hope.
I move that the school committee approve the overnight trip for the German group to the University of Rhode Island
On November
on November 2nd.
to the
and
3rd. All right, without any further ado, do I have a second?
Second.
Kathy, thank you. Any other discussion on this? Certainly hope that you folks really get a lot out of it, enjoy it, and thank you for coming in tonight. And I'm so happy these kids are going on this trip.
Special thank you to our school committee. Like, this was a big deal tonight, so thank you so much for all coming in here tonight to do this.
We can figure this
Really
out,
appreciate
right,
it.
guys? We can figure it out. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Have a great time.
Can I make a
Stay
comment?
safe. Yep.
Okay, just a quick comment.
Yes, sir.
Because if this hadn't come forward, we wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important trip for a lot of reasons, and reading over the things that you folks are going to accomplish, it's an important part of education, and when you talk about 21st century learning, which is an overrated term, but this is what we're talking about, and I think it's important that these get showcased as much as the other things we do. We have, every month, we have presentations by the kids from the different schools, and it concerns me to think that this might have gone under the radar, and that we might not have known about it. But I think it's important for us to know, but also for the public to see the things that teachers do for kids that go beyond the classroom, beyond the school day, beyond the contract, and very appreciative of that. And I don't think folks are aware of all the things like this that go on, especially at the high school where there are more opportunities. So thank you, and thank you to your colleagues, and I hope we can continue to showcase things like this.
Yeah, let's bring more forward. You might want to tell your friends.
But tell them to fill out the forms and follow the
It'll
policy.
be all set,
Get
and
the word
everybody will
out.
be calm, and it'll be all good. Yes.
With that, if I could share what it looks like from the teacher's side. So we have an online field trip form at the high school that is 30 days out at the field trip. And I noticed the new terminology on this is 90. And so I think that that makes sense that you guys need time to meet.
90 days?
I was gonna bring that up.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, 90
The
days
policy
from the old
says 2
form.
weeks.
This is,
30 days, I think, is more than adequate.
The policy
As long as
says
we have
15 days.
30 days.
Maybe a conversation for another time, but.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
We're on it.
From this
Thank
side,
you.
one form said 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was the teacher handbook.
Yeah.
And then our form in-house says 30 days, and then the new one said 90 days. And I said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
What's the what?
And I only found out about this in August, which then 90 days, it was the end of August when I found out, brought it to the principal, talked about the students in September, and 90 days, it would prevent this type of thing from happening.
I think Chairman Romasko hit it right on the head. I mean, for us, from a management perspective right now, it was one of those unearthing a hole that needed to be filled and fixed. And so the whole thing needs to be reviewed. From my perspective, the whole thing needs to be reviewed. It shouldn't be hard, it shouldn't be difficult, and everybody around this table should feel well informed. And we can, as you said, we can do this. We just need to fix it.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
So if you wanted a teacher to give you feedback from somebody who's planned field trips, I don't mind being a part of that feedback.
Well, yeah,
For
there you
that
go.
one thing.
Terrific.
But
We'll be
that's-
calling on you, Nathan.
Maybe not those words, but I do exchanges, and I like doing field trips, but like it gets draining when you are running against walls. So thank you for meeting today to make this happen. Appreciate it.
Yep, have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, without further ado, we could, you've got a question.
Well, actually, it has more to do with this whole thing, because we, in policy, ran into an issue with Dorothy where things were coming up, and it was like, okay, so do we stop here, or do we take a look at the teachers' manuals, the kids' manuals, the other manuals, to make sure that they're all in line? Because it's like, we stop right there, where do we go?
That's the assistant, that's the superintendent's responsibility.
Yeah, that, like,
So
once
it's-
those are all done, then we need to go, we will need to make a move in
To the
then,
handbooks,
yeah, to do that.
to the forms, it has to cascade.
So when the handbooks, well, we're supposed to be reviewing the handbooks sometime. during-
Yes, it's on the calendar, but I don't want to get into too much discussion because what's on
No, I
the
know.
agenda, and I'm not trying to shut you down.
This just reinforces what we had talked about.
And I think that's what.
Yeah.
In the spirit of getting
Superintendent
this
said.
field trip off the ground and in time, we wanted to make sure that we got all the essential information on here that you guys
So
asked
that's,
for.
And your point is well taken. The other thing I would say, though, when we compared the old policy with what you're bringing forward, the new, there's no change. It's one of the policies that's basically
didn't know
identical.
that.
Yeah, it's
okay,
identical.
so it's the processes again, yeah.
In this case, it was definitely the process. It had nothing to do with the policy. It wasn't a school committee thing. It was an us thing. It was a management thing.
It's just, it's not about this. And
No,
that's
no,
the impression right now,
no.
it's not about this.
No, we understand.
But it's, I understand what you're saying, but we kept bumping into, okay, so we're writing the school committee manual, for the school committee. And we're referring it in the policy manual.
Well, that's just because a portion of, like the public comment, the protocol for public comment is in both places. It's in policy and it's in the school committee manual. So that was one overlap.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and the problem I saw with that is, okay, so now we have it written in two places. If we change what's going on in the school committee handbook, or you change what's happening in the teacher handbook, or you change, there's no way to, because it's written in 4 places, who's to check the 4 places to make sure that they're written, because now you get conflict. Well, again,
Okay, so what we're gonna do, we did what we came here to do, that's what's on the agenda, we really can't get into further discussion. However, your point is well taken, and I think what I'm hearing is that
they have.
I can't figure out who's who tonight. The administration is going to take care of tying all of these ends back from the policies through there, and Lynn, you know there are scads of documents that have to be gone through.
I know that.
So it's not gonna be something that we can, just like it took you 3 years, like it basically a 3-year cycle to get through this, we will not be able to accomplish this inside of a year. I mean, if you think about this, I mean, when this is kind of going back to your point, when I look at all the different things that we've worked really hard at tweaking over the course of the last 2 years, not once did this come up on my radar.
Yeah.
but here we are, and it's no one's fault, it's just that there was a hole here.
We're kinda
And so we
lucky.
take it, and I think that her
And it's fine.
line was perfect. We had to polish the gem and redo it, and so that's what we're in the process now. When you have to finish that though first,
Oh, I get that.
before
And then,
we go
yeah,
on.
Sorry to interrupt, but Dorothy suggested, obviously like linking the two, how we're
Yeah.
just putting in a note that it's, at cross-referencing. And that way, every time a policy is revised, then all the other
Or if it's possible, put it in a
documents could
Google
be.
Doc that each one it adjusts in both. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah,
as
but then we
far
have to
as
make it visible to the
blocking.
public.
Then this group has to literally just.
Then the whole, everybody gets to make changes. Y'all don't want to do that. All right.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're not there
Well, like
yet.
I looked for the JJH, and I don't know what that stands for, but it wasn't anything that I could put my hands on until Ada sent it to me.
Mhm.
And I don't,
That's a search issue.
maybe, could be, could be.
Yeah,
So-
we're working on that one, so.
All right, so let's, a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, so
Thank
Steve's
you.
got it.
A second.
7:20.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elise, seconded.
Who seconded?
Stephen. So Elise
I got
seconded.
Steve, yep. I got it.
All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you very much.
Thank you.